So, you want to build a website. Alright, so in this video we're going to set up your hosting account for your website. So what you're actually doing here is going out to a company that has servers or computers in some location. Doesn't necessarily have to be in the US, but some location that they have set up for you to rent, and that's what hosting is. They're hosting your website. So I've got 4 common places or companies that you can rent from already pulled up here. So the first one is very common in our community for some reason. It's called Atama. As you can see by the price there in the middle, the $12.45, the recommended one, it is pretty pricey compared to the others. You can go with the marketer of $11.10, but in this instance, again, it's kind of overpriced and you're only building one website. You're also kind of locked in to features that are kind of stripped down to make things simple, and again, you can only build one website, so I don't recommend this at all. If I go over to HostGator, this is probably the cheapest option. If we go to web hosting, before I go in here, basically means that there's a server set up and several people rent space on that particular server, and so you're sharing the bandwidth that will be coming off of that server. So web hosting is basically shared hosting. So you might have another company that is running their website off the same server, and if they do a lot of volume, it could slow your server down. Now, in my experience, I haven't really had any issues, especially when you're starting out. Your website's fairly small. I've never had any problems with web hosting, but you could run into some issues there, but everyone basically starts out with web hosting. You can't afford a dedicated server all for yourself at this point, unless you have quite a bit of money. Then you might want to look into that. So you see different options as you move across here. VPS is for virtual private server, so it's a little more secluded. Dedicated server, you have your own server space, but you basically don't need any of these options. You're just going to look at web hosting. If you're watching this tutorial, you're just going to be starting out with web hosting most likely. So let me go ahead and click on this, and we'll take a look at their pricing options. So I would never recommend one option that only gives you one domain. So the hatchling plan would be out automatically for me. So the lowest plan I would go here with unlimited domains is this baby plan for $3.95. Now that is the lowest price, but after I get done with the next one, Bluehost, let me go ahead and switch over there. I'll talk about why I don't recommend these two. They're not horrible options, but I don't recommend them. But let me jump into Bluehost hosting and then shared hosting. So their website's set up a little different, but it's the same thing, shared hosting, and then we're going to choose a plan. And on this one, again, one website, we would skip basic and then look at probably plus, which gives you unlimited websites. So $5.45 is fairly comparable to the one that I'm going to recommend. Actually, that one's a little cheaper, I think. But Bluehost and HostGator are fairly good options. The reason I don't like them is they're big companies. Lots of people use them, and so that causes a technical support issue that I think the company that I recommend for that reason is better. Their technical support is better. So let me go ahead and jump over to A2 Hosting, which is the one that I use. I've been using them for about 1.5 years and love this company. It is my go-to. It's the only place I use, actually. So you can click on shared hosting with them also, and then click web hosting. And we'll pull up the pricing here on them. So they're $4.90, a little bit cheaper than Bluehost, which I think was $5.45, and then a little more expensive than HostGator here. But again, the reason that I choose A2 Hosting is because anytime I have an issue I can call in to their 800 number and 24/7 get an actual technician to talk to. I don't have to file a ticket. I can file a ticket if I want to, but I can actually call into tech support, talk to an actual technician that helps me right then and there and solves my issue. So if my server's down for whatever reason, or I blew something up, I can always get some help right away. And that is the single most important feature that I'm looking for. If you don't know anything about what I do for a living, I'm a teacher, but I'm also the IT admin for a small private school. And so tech support is really big and important for me, and that's why I've gone with A2 hosting. Plus they're cheaper, with the exception of HostGator, but their service kind of outweighs that in my opinion. So one other thing before I jump into setting things up, I would be looking for is the cPanel control panel. You can do a Windows based server, which will say Plexus, I think, control panel, and you want to run away from that. I've tried that once, and that was a painful experience. There's a lot more information out there about cPanel, and so if you have trouble, you can find good material, and it's just an overall better package, a better plan in my opinion. So look for cPanel. These servers that I'm recommending are going to use cPanel, so you're good to go there. So the plan that I always start off with, which is Swift, and you can upgrade to other packages as your business grows later. But again, I wouldn't go with Lite because it only has one website, and then Swift gives you unlimited websites. So let's go ahead and dive in here then. So I would click Get Swift. By the way, as this is switching, if you're on our website, there will be a button somewhere around the video that you can click to take you over and purchase your A2 hosting account and follow along with me. If you're watching this on YouTube, in the description there will be a link so you can click on that. So let's go ahead and continue. The first thing that you want to do is go down here to I will use my existing domain. In a previous video we talked about buying your domain from GoDaddy. You can buy it here. I just do everything inside GoDaddy, keep them all in one spot, all my redirect links, and my actual website custom domains. I'll have all of them in one spot. So I do recommend GoDaddy for buying your actual domains. You can go back to that video for more detail there. But I do click on this, and then one of the domains I own, I of course tested this out, so I'm just going to click on this, type in the domain that you purchased, and you do need to put in .com here, and then click use. And so that's going to be the domain that this initially sets up for. So it's important to make sure you have a domain before you actually go through this process. Okay, so this is kind of a summary, and then you can add features to your hosting package. So the first thing they do by default is give you 36 months. You kind of have to determine what you want to do in this instance, but the lower you go on this, the more expensive it's going to be. You are getting a basically half off, if I remember right, discount. Well, it's saying right there it's a little more than half, it looks like. So by registering the first time, you get a pretty good discount in your first year. So you want to go out as far as you can, especially if it's a site that you're going to use for a long time, or a hosting account you're going to use for a long time, because you can again build several sites off this one hosting account. I usually start out with 12 months, to be honest. So that would be about $65 for the first full year. If you jump back again for Atama, this is going to cost like $160 some. So a pretty good discount. One of the reasons I go with A2 hosting is for the pricing. Okay, so let's go ahead and go down through the rest of the features here. So dedicated IP, I would recommend this. I do agree with them here for a dedicated IP. That's good for marketing, to have that consistent IP address. I'll be honest, I don't have that on my package right now, but it is a good feature to add. You don't need the turbo. Again, you can add all these features later if your business starts growing. But basically I would leave these all as default. I do choose Michigan here because I'm in Illinois, so it's a little closer. So you want to pick one that's closest to you. If you're in the US, obviously Arizona or Michigan. So there's a European one and there's an Asian one. So it is, the main office is Michigan, I believe. So go ahead and scroll down here. Everything looks good. I would leave all of this as is. Actually, I like to install my own WordPress, so I wouldn't use this default one. So I'll show you how to do that a little bit later in the video. So I would click None here and install my own WordPress installation. You can go the way you want there, but I am going to be showing you how to do that a little bit later. So okay, the next thing that I would do is click Continue. I think it takes us to the checkout screen. Oh, it has us review, and then it'll take us over to checkout. So just make sure you have everything right here. Just look through it real quick. It was a 51% discount. I did notice that. And then click checkout. I'm not going to go ahead and proceed to the checkout screen because I already own a hosting account, so I don't need another one. And so what's going to happen here is once you check out, they're going to send you an email with the link to get into your hosting account on A2 Hosting, actually log in and be able to get to your information, your support, all your services and things like that. So you're going to want to log in there, and that's where we'll start in the next section. So I'll be right back. Okay, so once you get that email and follow the link and go ahead and sign in with the username and password that you established, you will be in your dashboard for A2 Hosting. So we've set up a service. Jason and I have lucrativeaspects.com, obviously, and then here's our Swift web hosting, just like we went through with you. And then right here is the cPanel that I talked about. So what this is going to do is log into the server and let you set up features, one of them being your WordPress site, where you're going to actually build your website. So the other thing that I want to, before I hit that cPanel, if you go up to sales and support and let that load, you can come down to call us right here, and it will list all the phone numbers. And so the US number, the 800 number is right there. This is where I call in to get my technical support. Looks like the main office again is Michigan. And so you've got numbers worldwide that you can use. Obviously, you can scroll down through those and pick the right one that's appropriate for you. But again, I would use this toll-free here in the US. So I wanted to make sure I pointed that out. You will need your PIN number when you call in. They will ask you for that, and that's over here. I'll blur that out in the actual video, but you want to keep that kind of secure. It's kind of like your PIN number to your bank account. You don't want everybody knowing that. So the next thing that I'm going to do is click on the cPanel. Okay, so when you get into the cPanel, these are all the features for setting up your server. And so this is already running for you when you registered your account. The very first thing that you're going to need to do is go to WordPress A2 Optimized. Now, I'm going to need to do an extra feature here for mine to work, and I'm actually not exactly sure where that's at, but I need to add a domain. Here it is, add on domain. So when you do your account, you're going to set up your domain and you're going to be good to go. I already have mine installed, so I need another domain to be installed. So I'm going to use certified affiliate. I think it's marketer.com. And we're just going to do that right there, I think, is all I need to do. Okay, so I've added a domain. If you're doing a second domain, this is another reason why I want to make sure that I can install as many domains as I want and build as many websites as I want, is for this feature right here. So now I have an add-on domain that I've added into mine. Now again, if this is your first website, you don't have to do this. But I'm going to back up and go back out to this main panel. So when you come in, you can go to WordPress, and this is Softaculous, where it's basically going to install your WordPress installation for you. You can basically manage all of your WordPress installations from this spot. So all you have to do is scroll down here and click install. and then we want to do HTTPS because a SSL certificate does come with our hosting package for each website. So the next thing I want to do, I installed this one right here. Now yours would just be the only option you would have is the one that you installed when you signed up for your account, but I just installed this second one. So I'm going to click that. I leave the directory blank. You're going to want to put in your title. So I might type in certified affiliate marketer, and then some tagline. Let's see, we creating certified affiliate marketers or something like that. Could have left it blank because I'm not actually going to do this installation. You can change your username and password to whatever you want. Obviously, it doesn't matter for me because I'm not going to install. You can set up the email that you want all of the notifications to go to, and then make sure this is your language. Of course, you're listening to a video in English, so it's probably English. And then click install. And what's going to happen there is an email will be sent to you by Softaculous, I think is the way it shows up in your email, with your username, password, and the login information. The URL is really the piece that you're looking for because you're setting your username and password, but you need to get the login URL to be able to log into your actual account. Now, before we go any further, we have to do another step on GoDaddy. So what I want to do is go ahead and flip over there. So we'll be back in just a second. Okay, so I've logged into our GoDaddy account. Now, if you haven't done this step, go back to the previous videos. Make sure you have a domain purchased and you're ready for this step. So you are free to go ahead and click copy any of these URLs and visit all these websites. Let us know what you think on those. But what I'm going to do is this certified affiliate marketer. I'm not sure this is going anywhere, so I'm not going to use this one. I'm just going to use lucrative aspects because I know it points to the right places, so I can use that as an example. So whatever domain you have, you're going to log into GoDaddy. To get to this screen, by the way, if you go up here and it doesn't come up by default, you can go to My Products and click on that, and this screen will load. Okay, so I'm logged into my account on My Products, and I'm going to go to the DNS settings for whatever domain that you're wanting to use. So mine's already set up, so I'm just going to show you what you would do. So you're wanting to manage your DNS records, and the thing that we need to do is point our domain. So basically, think of it this way: you're going to the post office, and you're saying, okay, postmaster, my address is this, and this is where it's located on such and such street. Okay, so you're going to take this address and you're going to point it to an actual physical location where you're going to build your house. So in this instance, we're taking our custom domain with GoDaddy that then tells the world, okay, the server that this website is going to be built on is over there. Okay, so the mail gets, in this case traffic, website traffic, gets to the right spot. So that's what a name server does. It points to the right spot. So we need to tell GoDaddy to go to the right place. All right, so what I'm going to do, because my domain servers are already set up, I'm going to back up one step and see if I can find a domain. Let me go here and go to My Products and show you what this looks like by default. I don't think I've done anything here. Let's take a look. Okay, so I have some DNS settings. You don't need to worry about that. Okay, so right here. So I'm not using name servers. So I'm using the default name servers that are with GoDaddy. So these are by default. They're automatically set up. And what you want to do is come in here and change from the default name servers by clicking, what did I click? Change is the word, change. And then we're going to change this to custom. And what you would then do is put in your name servers to the location of the server that you want to send the traffic to. So you'd enter those in and then push save. Okay, so what I'm going to do is go ahead. I'm assuming that you're following along and using A2 hosting for your name servers. So I want to show you basically what to put in there. So when you click on custom, you're going to send them over to these name servers. So if I click change, I'll be able to look at it. So you would just go to each one of these boxes. I think it gives you 2 by default, and then you can add a name server. So you need a total of 4. You're just putting in these right here. You do get an email telling you how to do all that, but if you don't know how to build a website, that might all be confusing. This is what they're wanting you to do, is put in the name servers inside your custom domains DNS records. Okay, so I'm gonna click cancel. I've already done this. You need to make sure you set it up. There will be something similar, like if you use Namecheap, there'll be something similar. You want to go to the DNS settings and change your name servers to the correct name servers for whatever hosting account you're using. Okay, all right, so this would be set up. So now we need to talk about propagation. So nothing on the internet as far as DNS happens instantly. So what's going to happen is when you put this in, it can take up to 48 hours for your DNS records to what we call propagate. Fancy word for it has to go update. So the way I like to explain this is if your city decided to build a brand new road, and that road took, I don't know, half a year to build, Google Maps would not have that road on the map until it's finished, and then it might take a little while for it to update. So that's what propagation means. So once you put this in, my experience is it usually takes about 30 minutes or so, and then it's good, especially if everything's brand new and clean. If you go changing things later, it sometimes takes a little bit longer. But what you're going to want to do is put in your DNS settings, and then you'll need to wait about 30 minutes before you can go to your email and actually sign into your website to start your WordPress stuff in the next section of this video. So just want to make sure that you understand that if you type in your domain and it's not there, everything's okay. When you go changing DNS records, it's going to take some time. All right, be back for the last section of this video. All right, so at this point, you should be logged into WordPress. Your hosting, your name server should have propagated and be pointing to your correct host. And you went to your email and you were able to log in. And so WordPress should look something like this. Now, your menu over here on the left-hand side is not going to be nearly as extensive. You're probably going to only have 5 or 6 things. One thing I do want to point out is one of the very first things I do on a brand new WordPress site is go to settings over here. So yours will probably be up in there, and then go down to permalinks. And I forget what the default one is, but I always make sure this is set on post name. So when you create a post or a page, it's going to be basically your domain name / and then the name of that post. So just a little tip as I get ready to sign off on this. What we're going to do is in later videos, I'll talk about some of the things that I use as plugins, some of the things I set up, some little tips and tricks on WordPress. Those will come down the line. But for now, I just want to make sure you set your permalinks correct. You can mess around basically with the settings. You'll have most of these features in there. You can go through them, make sure your date and time is set right, make sure your website tag is right, your little motto or whatever you want to put in there. So you can mess around with some of those things. You're going to want to get used to poking around and trying some things out. Just know that testing things out and maybe breaking some things is okay. You can always uninstall and reinstall. You're kind of at the fun stage where you can play with things. You don't have any traffic going to your website. If you break it, not a big deal. You'll just go back into Softaculous and delete the installation, reinstall it, all brand new, and you're good to go. So you're actually at a good place to mess around. So don't be afraid to get in here and maybe break some things. That would be my encouragement. You want to figure out how some things work. So, all right, in the next video, we're going to talk about page builders. And so I will see you in that video. All right, bye-bye.